YG's My Crazy Life is streaming again. It's an edited version of Meet the Flockers. And it says, the song has been a target of renewed criticism over lyrics about targeting Chinese neighborhoods for robbery. I'm sorry. It says, My Crazy Life, the 2014 debut album from YG, returned to the music streaming platforms after a brief disappearance on Monday. As Pitchfork reported, the project's song Meet the Flockers has been newly edited to remove a lyric about burglarizing Chinese neighborhoods. Lyrics that come under scrutiny once more this month following a wave of anti-Asian hate crimes in the United States. Meet the Flockers was the target of a petition in 2006 from Chinese Americans accusing the song of racism. So it sounds like they have it back to streaming, but edited the version of that song.
When did the song come out?
2014 on his debut album.
You said 2006 though.
And they had a petition.
Yeah, that's what you said.
So
maybe 2016.
2016 there was a petition that they had against that was a separate situation on this same song. Okay. 2016, but I guess they got the edited version now. And Jay Moore brought that one to our attention before we came on. So Jay Moore, what rubbed you the wrong way about this one, man? Because I was asleep on this until we got a chance to read the article on the Fader.
Well, it rubbed me the wrong way because the thing is, I'm not about censorship in any way, shape, or form. And while I'm also not for any sort of anti Asian racism or violence, because I think that's really a problem. But I also think it's a problem that they are trying, and like I said, I'm conspiracy brother. I also see where they're trying to make black people the face of anti-Asian racism when it's really the same white supremacists who have been targeting us all. We have a common enemy in all this, but for whatever reason, they're trying to make it seem like all of a sudden black people are just wildly anti-racist against Asians. And I'm just saying that's not where we're at. But I look at it like this. Okay, if you're going to say, okay, we got to yank this YG video because it has some questionable lyrics and it's and he's telling his story and whatever. But if we're going to do that, then okay, first of all, YouTube seems to also be a platform for a lot of white nationalists who want to talk their shit, and their videos are still up.
A lot of them are getting banned.
Are they?
A lot of them are getting banned, but you know what? Yeah. As soon as we're quick to go ahead and grab down these rap videos, but also let's just keep it real. If we're going to talk about violence against communities, okay, then what about every rap song that has something to say, yo, I'm gonna go and shoot so and so, or I'm gonna do this, that, and the third? Then in violence, and say it's black on black violence, and say I'm somebody who wants to go ahead and say, all right, well, if we're gonna talk about anti-Asian violence, then what about black on black violence? Then we need to start snatching every rap video that it contains that as well. I'm once again, I am not endorsing any anti Asian language or any anti-Asian sentiment. I don't F with any type of anything that's rooted in white supremacy, because really that's where it all comes from. But I'm also against any type of censorship, and it's a slippery slope. Because if we say, okay, we're going to snatch down this, then anything that's talking about, a black man killing another black man, then there's somebody who could say, well, you know what, I want that down too. You're
looking for the consistency if we're going to go about it.
If it's anything talking about, any level of violence against any person, then I want that down. Because we just
that's not
have
the sentiment though. That's not the sentiment. That's not the sentiment they're saying here. They're targeting specific racism as opposed to the falsehood of black on black violence would be not racism. I mean, the sentiment of saying it is, but those are two different ideas, aren't they?
Well, then if I'm someone who works within the Black community, and I'm trying to, and I find that these particular words in these particular songs are something that I find that are detrimental to my community,
Okay.
because I could say that. I could say like this particular, rat-a-tat-tat, never hesitate to put it on his back. Okay, well, I want that off as well, because I feel like that is something that is spearing a certain level of violence of Black people, of hurting other Black people. Because if it's Black people just hurting Asian people, then okay, I once again, I understand where there's this issue there, but then it's a slippery slope, because
let me ask this though. Let me ask this. So
what's that?
Is the song specifically about targeting this group of people? I haven't heard the song.
So the
Sounds
lyrics,
like it's an isolated bar to me, right?
Yeah, the lyrics are: first, you find a house and scope it out. Find a Chinese neighborhood because they don't believe in bank accounts. That's the line.
Okay.
So to me,
Find a
in my
neighborhood.
personal opinion, that's not necessarily a racist line. That's
It's just a little
What would
insensitive.
you call it? What would you call it?
I wouldn't say racist. I mean, he's saying
Read the bar again, Long.
he's pretty
First,
much talking
you
about
find,
going in the house.
First, you find a house
because they got money in there. Only got bank accounts.
First, you find a house and scope it out. Find a Chinese neighborhood because they don't believe in bank accounts. Now, there might be other lines too, but I don't know.
It might be if there has to be some other context in that to me for it to be considered racist.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of this stuff is stemming from it does ring true. Everybody wants to bring attention to certain things that specifically mention them without knowing the context of it. Automatically assume that it's racist. That's what I'm thinking it is. I mean, the movie Gran Torino with Eastwood,
Yeah.
is way more racist than that line. You know what I'm saying? If that's what we're going for. If you're picking just that particular line, stating that it's racist against a group of people, I'm not really going for that. I mean, because you know how many times people say some Jew shit in raps or songs or whatever, you don't hear them saying anything. And then it's most of the time it's about being a financially frugal or monetarily responsible, things like that.
Well, remember they got on LeBron's head about that, even though he thought he was doing something complimentary to the Jewish, culture.
Yeah, they got it. They really was on his head about that. Yeah.
What did he say?
I can't remember the exact quote. I don't want to misquote it, but I remember him getting mad, backlash. To Jay Moore's point, it was something.
It was something about them being
taken,
good. Like it's messed up because it was something about them being, good with money and taking care of business. Yeah. But at the same time, like you got to understand that stereotype is why so many times, if you go through history, why our Jewish brothers and sisters have been targeted and been made scapegoats for certain things. So even though it's complimentary, like, they don't see it as such because what we think is a compliment, they realize that's what's made them a target.
They literally put being lazy on Black people, motherfuckers that built the damn country. So how do you have a whole group of people that built the country? You sit back and watched it, and then when they decided they didn't want to work free no more, all of a sudden they're lazy. Yeah, that's the type of stereotypes. That's the type of stereotypes that aren't cool. If it's a positive stereotype, I mean, who's tripping on that? Who's causing a fuss about?
It's not that it's a positive. See, the thing is that positive stereotype, while we think it's positive, like it's been enough to make Jewish people be a scapegoat. It was like, oh well, they run the media and they own all the businesses in the neighborhood, and then people become resentful. And look, that was enough even a little bit of the truth that was in there was enough for for them to become targets during in Germany before World War II. We saw how that played out. So that's why they're so sensitive about that sort of thing. But at the same time, what you alluded to,
they need to be more sensitive to other plights, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. I'm not even about to get deep with the situation because it seems like everything is glossed over for certain individuals, but on the other side of the tracks or coin, it's always such a big deal. Another level, you know what I'm saying? This is a conversation for another day.
This is, I mean, it is, but but at the same time, like, it's crazy how, just like you alluded to, where they talked about how, black people are lazy, but we built the country. Like, think about it. Black people aren't lazy, and it was the white people who brought us here who were lazy because they didn't want to do the work. And they want to talk about how Jewish people are cheap. White people, just straight up white people, are the ones that didn't want to pay people to do work. So don't talk about how these other people are these terrible things that really are attributed to you.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's going and on for that one. I think
we kind of got off topic, but basically back to. I'm talking about censorship. I'm talking about censorship and sensitivities.
I think we were still. I think it's still within the same pocket. I don't think it was off. I think it was still in the same pocket.
I mean,
go ahead, Long.
If we think about it, Asian Americans are still a marginalized group in America, right?
Right.
And so if they feel like something is detrimental in some language in some way, and Asian Americans or Chinese Americans in this specific instance are get offended at this line, I'm personally along the lines of listening to what they have to say and why they might be offended by it. Now, I agree with you guys that I don't really see the offense in this. This doesn't really seem offensive, but maybe there's some sort of nuance that I just don't grasp because I'm not Chinese. That's the part that I don't get, so, and I come at this standpoint because there have been many times in my life where I have seen things that have been called racist, and I at the time was like, I don't necessarily understand why that is racist, towards Black Americans. And I mean, then you sit back and you listen a little bit and like, okay, I see the nuance there, but there's no other way for me to grasp it. Again, this doesn't seem like it's problematic at all, but I don't know,
I think we have to be careful with, to Lone's point, you have to be careful with
what offends who.
Yeah, what offends who, but it's also like
I'm with
perception.
I'm with that.
Perception, though, because I can't necessarily relate.
My wife is half Asian. My mother-in-law is Asian. My sister-in-law is Asian. I mean, brother-in-law.
Right.
So I mean, I agree with that, but in the same token, meat and potatoes here are people targeting Asian people and doing hate crimes.
Right.
I'm saying specifically seeking them out.
And that's whack.
That type.
That's 100% whack. That's bullshit. I agree.
And this might be opinion. I'm not saying it's fact. To me, those are not the same as that particular lyric. Shit's ridiculous what's going on as far as that's concerned. And we need to call out the culprits that's actually doing it, rather than trying to point blame at people that aren't necessarily participating in that act. Where I'm at with it.
Well, no, I mean, I just recently saw Exhibit. Some of y'all know him as part of Liquid Crew. Some of y'all know him as Pimp My Ride, but Exhibit.
Still know him.
He's into the legal marijuana business, and one of his strains is called Napalm. And napalm is basically like a weaponized, gasoline. That but now they want to come after him because napalm was used during the Vietnam War, and so they've considered it's an anti-Asian. They consider the whole term napalm as being anti-Asian. Like it's warlike And of course, like this is somebody who's had, Man or Machine or Man of War. Like he's had songs called, he had a song called Napalm. You know what I'm saying? More like yo, I'm spitting this fire.
Right.
That had no connotation to aggression or any violence towards the Asian community. So now they're coming after him. And it's like I said, this is where the slippery slope gets involved.
Man.
But
Yeah,
this isn't new, because I remember when, and this is going back a ways, when Puff Daddy or Diddy or Brother Love, or whenever he had a record out called Diddy, and I remember he had some line, it was like, I got Asian women who changed my linen. And I remember they had to resend out the CDs, and they had to go and re-edit the video and take the word Asian out. So maybe there's a sensibility that we don't understand and we need to be schooled on. But at the same time, like, it's a very slippery slope when we're talking about, okay, we're going to take YG's video off of YouTube because a few people at, the company say at Google are like, yo, we got to get rid of this because there's anti-Asian sentiment. Like, even though that's not what it is, he's telling a story. And once again, maybe it's not the most responsible story, but a lot of times in hip hop, these are not extremely responsible stories. Because if we're going to go down that line, there's going to be a lot more songs we got to take off of YouTube. And I just don't want, I want us to be careful.
Maybe that's the answer.
Maybe that
censorship here.
Just get rid of all the art.
About to his point about it not being new, like I remember when Busta had Arab money. Like it was people talking about that.
Well, because I remember because they resent out those CDs because instead of saying Arab instead of, and then they changed it to Arab. Because that's how you're supposed to say it. Just like I didn't realize how messed up it was for someone to say, Italian instead of Italian until somebody told me. I said, there are nuances and sometimes there are cultural blind spots that we have to be schooled on. But at the same time, we can't make it into, oh, we hate these people or this is something that's about aggression, because sometimes there's a cultural blind spot. Now, at the same time, when we school people on those cultural blind spots and they continue to do things, then we can get into, okay, you did that specifically because you were on some hate and shit.
Right. I'm with that. I'm totally with that. What I'm totally against is not getting at the cats that are actually the hateful and spiteful individuals.
Exactly.
Totally
we in here, we're doing all this infighting, and we're still not rounding up all the people who ran up in the Capitol and with Confederate flags, because at the end of the day, that's everybody's enemy, and we're in here fighting with each other.
Somebody black just got killed at the Capitol building a week ago.
Yeah,
police officer.
Yeah. I'll tell you on the money. You on the money with that. I agree with you 100%. Everybody made good points. It's just slippery slope, man. Like it's.
But also at the same
after what's the name for the napalm strain. At the
same time, we have to be able to be grown enough as creatives to realize that if we fuck up, and that maybe we need to edit some of our shit. And I think what would happen with this song is they uploaded an edited version of the song, and then that that fixed it, It doesn't mean that, apparently this has been an issue for like 5-6 years, and it's just now, it took all of this to get it addressed for whatever reason. So,
well, at least it happened
this isn't the only
than a lot of this other shit that's going on.
But this
isn't even asked for it. It's happening now.
But this isn't. We can't like act like this is the only problematic line in hip hop that should probably.
That's where I'm. That's where I'm coming from.
I'm saying from the beginning.
Yeah, so. No, 100% long. That's be clear. It's way more that you can pick apart. So yeah, I'm definitely with y'all on that.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. And we invite you to join our hip hop community on Discord. Access it by going to newoldheads.com/community for talks on hip hop, sports, music, news, and everything else.